What's going on, YouTube, and welcome to my Helluva Boss review. I'm recording this one just after finishing my Has-Been Hotel, so I don't know the order in which I'm going to be releasing these videos in, obviously, but if for whatever reason this video is coming out after that, which I don't know if it's going to, but if it does, make sure you go check that video out, because I'll be expanding on some of my thoughts there. If you haven't, just be patient. Some of the things I say will make more sense when that video does come out, probably in a week or two after this video comes out, depending on how things line up with my schedule. We'll see. But today we are looking at the Hell of a Boss series and giving you guys my basic thoughts, general reviews of the show. I'll be doing my best to not give any major spoilers for the show. So if you have any desire of watching the show, just bear that in mind as I go through talking about some different plot lines and different elements of this show that I have grown to be quite fond of for a lot of different reasons and such. So, what is Hell of a Boss? So, Hell of a Boss takes place between two different worlds, actually, between Hell and the Mortal Realm. And compared to Has-Been Hotel, we take a much broader lens of the overall world. Where Has-Been Hotel was a very focused story. It knew what it wanted to do, it knew where it wanted to go, and it took place within a central location that we kind of stuck with from the beginning of the show to the end. Hell of a Boss kind of jumps to a few different places within, and we get a little bit more about the nature of hell. We get a little bit more about the structure, the hierarchy of the demons that exist within there. We get a little bit more of the locations within hell, and I think a lot of the lore that they have for it is very interesting. You have the seven rings, or I guess you want to call it the seven dimensions of hell. Each one are based around the seven deadly sins and have some connection to them depending on which one you're in. Like the greed ring tends to be the more scummy, the more kind of you have a lot more of the rich and powerful that are there, but then also you have a lot more of the crime that happens there. You have the lust ring, which has again, a lot more of a lot more implementation of lust, if you know what I mean. You have the different rings that showcase different sins, and the characters, the devils that exist within them, display those very very well. Demons that exist within them, I should say, display that very very well. Um, and we focus mostly around our little group, the IMP, the Immediate Murder Patrol, which is kind of like a group of bounty hunter demons whose job is to infiltrate the mortal realm to take revenge on demons who contract them. And of course, it's all being done for money and that kind of thing in the show. But I mean, I guess it never really gets brought up. It's just kind of oh, you want us to go after this person? They do it. It goes through the slice the story of the week of going to the human world and developing the characters a little bit as we do that. And then we just come back and it's okay, on to the next episode. So, like Has-Been Hotel, the story kind of does move at a very brisk pace. But one thing I like about Helluva over Has-Been Hotel is that it takes its time a little bit more with getting to develop these characters and kind of give them a much more firm floor, if that makes sense, or a standing to be able to build off and develop into characters as the show goes on, which I really appreciated getting to see. It was great getting to get to know Moxie and getting to know Millie and Blitz and Luna and a whole bunch of characters throughout the show. And just it's very very interesting what we learn about the show. Its main themes seem to be mostly on self forgiveness and where Has-Been Hotel focused on redemption in the sense of oh, redemption from sin and that kind of thing. This is more you have characters who are trying to who've messed up in their lives in some shape or form, or have things that they're running from, or have things that they regret, that they are leaving behind in their past, that they're all working toward bettering themselves for. It touches on Blitz, who has a lot of self-loathing because of a plotline that happens and that they reveal in the show. Um, it's revealed just he has this very deep-seated self-hatred for himself, and a lot of the show is kind of showing his connections with a lot of characters and showing not necessarily I guess how he's getting over that, but how characters are helping to guide him, and kind of how his connections with others influence their behaviors and how it influences their mindsets and such like that. And it's very interesting what we get with that. um and in addition, like I said, we get to explore demon hierarchy. So we have the seven deadly sins, who are kind of the gods of hell, is I guess the way I'd call it. They're the main head honchos, the ones that are running most of the things in hell and making sure everything stays in order and that everything is running the way it's always meant to. And just underneath them, we have demon royalty. And specifically, the one I'm going to be talking about is the Goetia family. Now, we don't really know much about the Goetia family. We know that they have a lot of influence with astrology. They have a lot of influence and say in a lot of things in hell. They're respected very much by a lot of people. It seems most of them tend to look down on characters in the Helluva. Like the Hazbin Hotel series kind of showed us the not just the upper class of them, but like it showed us characters that were from characters that were damned to hell and their journey with there, whereas Helluva explores hell itself and people who were just born and raised. They're demons that were part of hell since its creation and such. And the Goetia family seems to look down on most of the characters within the world that we get introduced to. They're kind of like, oh, we're so much better than most of them. But you have some exceptions, and the main exception that we have is through Stolas, who is, I guess, the character who's allowing most of the stuff to happen. He has this book called a grimoire that allows for people to travel between hell and the mortal realm, and by using that grimoire, Blitz and his IMP group are able to traverse between the two different realms and be able to get their job, make their living as they do. And Stolas and Blitz have a not so secret relationship with each other, which I think gets very interesting development as the show goes on. I love their development. I think most of all, it's like the any episodes that focus on Blitz and Stolas, I think are always interesting. I like the other characters. I mean, I like a lot of the developments we get from Millie and Moxie and a lot of the other characters within the show. But I think like Blitz growing to learn to love himself a little bit more and to kind of be a little bit more open with people, which he does a lot with Stolas. And then Stolas and his developments and his like feeling like he's in a cage, like feeling like he has all this responsibility and all this burden that's on him because he's a member of the Goetia family and has all this responsibility and he's supposed to do all of these things. And because of that, he isn't allowed to really love himself and love a lot of things that are happening in his life. He's very depressed a lot of the show. But I like the little bright spots that we see in his life through Blitz and the connection that he has with him, and through the very, very strong love that he has with his daughter Octavia. Um, yeah, so the a lot of people like I talk about the show often with Ollie, and we both have very different opinions. If we could, we would do a fan versus critic, not on Hell of a Boss, no, 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 just on Stolas and talking about Stolas as a character and kind of what we think he does well for the show, what we think that he could probably that they could do better with his arc and such. It's like he's a very like he comes off very like spoiled, very like oh he kind of like not leans into it, but like he just like he's oblivious to the way that his influence and his power kind of makes people look at him a lot of the time, and kind of doesn't real like not he doesn't realize how like good he has it, but he's kind of like he's kind of a rich he's like not a rich asshole, but like he's spoiled is the best way to put it. He's spoiled on a lot of different ways. He's like conscious of the fact like oh like I don't want to live in the ways that I'm doing, and I want to treat people with the respect that they are due because there are people that I respect who supposedly are beneath me, but he still kind of has this like very like he still talks down to people sometimes. I think just not intent like he doesn't hear it as he's talking down to people. He just hears it as like, oh, this is just how people normally speak to each other. This is how I've heard people speak most of my life to each other. And I think that is something that they did start kind of developing with Stolas with the recent arcs here, but it's something I would love to see a lot more of. But mostly like Ollie and my discussions mostly talk about like Stolas and his relationship with Octavia. He's certainly not the best dad. I think Ollie and I can agree on that much. But I do think I like what they are doing with Stolas. I don't think like he's the worst necessarily, but I do think like just like he hasn't made all the right choices, but he is actively trying to do his best, and it's tough. I mean, like it's tough when you have so much of what's going on with Stolas. Like it's I do like I feel bad for Souls on a lot of different degrees, but at the same time, it's like there are a lot of things which like it's a development he needs to make in himself to be better for that way things to improve. It's not like, oh, bad things happen to Stolas, everyone feel bad for Stolas and not ignore every bad thing they did. Like he's definitely got some developments he needs to make. I understand somewhat of where how Stolas is as a character comes from, and because of that, like I do feel very very bad when bad things happen to Stolas, but it's like I am interested in seeing how a lot of this pushes him toward being a better character and being able to to be able to connect deeper with his daughter, even if he's never going to connect with his wife ever again, and just like being able to be there for her however possible, and the developments of that with him and with Stolas and with Blitz, I mean, and so much else throughout the show. But it's a very interesting show. I like the show a lot. I like the way it tackles a lot of its themes. Like with Has Been Hotel, the songs in it are absolutely amazing. And I would highly, highly recommend the show. And yeah, those are my basic thoughts on the show. Hopefully, I've convinced you guys to potentially give it a shot. If not, then let me know in the comments down below, and dislike this video to heck and back. Maybe I'll get to see Stolas then. We'll see. But yeah, so thank you guys so much for watching this video. It's my pleasure to record this. My pleasure to be able to talk about the show with you guys. If there's anything I missed or anything you guys want me to talk about in a future video for the show, then let me know in the comments down below. But with that said, we'll wrap things up here. Thank you guys so much for watching. I'll catch you guys in the next one.